Coming up on Arirang News. A mass exodus begins on the eve of the Chuseok holiday as millions of people in Korea are traveling, most of them heading to their hometowns. Tonight, we go to Seoul Station, one of the nation's busiest transport hubs. The number of babies born in South Korea falls below the 20,000 mark for the first time for any month of July, recording another fresh low. The population drop continues with the number of deaths reaching an all-time high for the month of July. At the Asian Games in Hangzhou, South Korea's golden kicks continue for 4 straight days, clinching another gold and a bronze medal in taekwondo. Aiming for the Asian Games title for a 3rd time, the men's football team is playing Kyrgyzstan in the first knockout round. Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We start with the mass exodus beginning on this eve of the near week-long Chuseok holiday. Tens of millions of people here in Korea are on the move. Most are leaving for their hometowns to see their loved ones or going on vacation. Tonight, we go live to one of the busiest transportation hubs, Seoul Station. Our correspondent Song Yoo-jin is there right now. So Yoo-jin, tell us, what's it like over there?
Well, Ji-young, just like you said, I'm at Seoul Station, one of the most busiest railway stations here in South Korea. It's actually the busiest and most bustling. And the station is now packed with even more people when compared to a few hours ago, as more people are coming here to catch their trains after work or school. Now, the last train departs here at Seoul Station at around 11:30 p.m., so we still have more than 2 hours left. But the thing is, because there are too many passengers, it's really not unusual to see people sitting down on the floor waiting for the platform numbers to appear on the screen right behind me because there are no seats in the waiting area. And most train tickets for today are already sold out, even the standing seats. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with what Chuseok is, it's the Korean version of Thanksgiving, and it's one of the 2 major holidays here in Korea alongside the Lunar New Year, a time when millions of people are traveling across the country and even out of it. So South Korea's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport expects approximately 40.2 million people to be on the move from today until next Tuesday, which is the last day of the holiday. Now, what this means is that roughly 80% of the nation's population will be traveling, a 27% increase from last year, and this is probably due to the extended holiday period this year. So let's first listen to what some of the travelers here had to say.
I'm very excited and happy to go home and see my mother with my wife and kids, because it's been a long time since we've seen her. We're going to make Chuseok food together and also travel to a nearby forest.
Because of school, I can stay home for 6 full days, but I want to rest well and spend a lot of time with my family.
Yeah, I'm very excited to experience a new holiday because we don't have, of course, it's like Thanksgiving, which America also has, but we don't have any that sort of thing. So it's going to be very interesting to experience it.
Well, it certainly looks busy there. Yoo-jin, for those planning to travel during this holiday period, tell us more about what they can expect.
Well, Ji-young, I can say that we're going to see even bigger crowds here at train stations and also on the road tomorrow. That's because, according to a survey done by the Korea Transport Institute, people who are traveling back to their hometowns responded that they really prefer to travel back to their hometowns tomorrow, Thursday morning, which is 1 day before the actual Chuseok day. Now, I want to mention that although tomorrow is the start of the Chuseok holiday period, Friday is the actual Chuseok day. And as for the returning journey, most people answer that they prefer to travel back to Seoul or wherever that they departed from 1 day after the actual Chuseok day, which is Saturday and until Sunday. And in terms of the overall volume of the number of travelers here in Korea, the peak is expected to rise on Friday, which is the actual Chuseok day, and also the day after that, with more than 8.1 million people expected to be on the move on Friday and more than 7 million people on Saturday. And so traffic congestion is most likely to be the most severe during these 2 days as well. So for example, as for a car trip from Seoul to Busan, which usually takes around 6 hours, it could take up as much as 10 hours, which is a huge difference. So really to minimize this inconvenience, the government has designated today through next Tuesday as a period for special transportation measures for Chuseok. So key measures include waiving highway toll fees for all vehicles for 4 days starting Thursday, which is tomorrow, and also expanding the capacity of public transportation, which include buses, trains, airplanes, and ships. And the government will also extend the time of cracking down on vehicles illegally taking the bus lanes on highways by 4 hours for the sake of buses and vehicles carrying 6 or more people. That's all I have for now. Back to you, Taeyong, and a big happy Chuseok to you.
Big happy Chuseok to you too, Yujin. Our Song Yujin live from Seoul Station. Thank you. Moving on, South Korea's team of experts is carrying out a radiological survey in international waters for the first time since Japan released stored water from the defunct Fukushima nuclear power plant into the ocean. Our Lee Jae-myung with the details. For the first time since the release of the wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear power plant in late August, South Korea is conducting a radiological survey in international waters in the open ocean that's not under South Korean jurisdiction. Seoul's Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries announced a plan on Wednesday at its daily briefing.
CA, where the survey will take place, is located about 500 to 1,000 kilometers east of the Fukushima nuclear power plant. According to simulations conducted by the Korea Institute of Ocean Science and Technology and the Korea Atomic Energy Research Institute, considering the flow of ocean currents, the wastewater is expected to reach the sea about a month after discharge.
The survey team that departed South Korea Wednesday will test the waters on CA from October 1st to 4th. The results, upon analysis, will be shared with the public during the daily briefings by the Oceans Ministry. Meanwhile, Reuters reported Wednesday that Russia is mulling over joining China in banning Japanese seafood imports. Russian food safety watchdog Russell Krasnozor released a statement on Tuesday explaining that the final decisions will be made after negotiations with Japan. The regulator reportedly sent a letter to Japan requesting information on Japan's radiological testing of seafood products by mid-October. The Japanese government said it's going to scrutinize the announcement by Russia. It also called for Russia to base its decisions on science.
In the future, we will offer information with a high level of transparency at all levels and at various opportunities, and will strongly urge Russia to take steps based on scientific evidence.
Japan last year exported a total of 190 tons of seafood to Russia. That's 0.03% of its total seafood exports. Lee Jae-myung, Arirang News. North Korea has announced the expulsion of the U.S. soldier Travis King, who was detained in the north after crossing the inter-Korean border in July. This came from North State Media, Korean Central News Agency, on Wednesday, saying investigations into King are finished. King had crossed the border without authorization during a visit to the Joint Security Area on July 18th. North Korea stated that King illegally intruded into its territory, leading to the decision to expel him according to its laws. The announcement added that King's crossing came due to mistreatment and discrimination within the U.S. Army. The specific details as to how King will be kicked out of the North have not been stated, with a direct transfer at the JSA possible, as King is from the military. North Korea's envoy to the United Nations says the regime will bolster its self-defense, likely meaning its nuclear weapons, insisting that the Korean peninsula has been driven closer to a nuclear war, as he pointed fingers at the South and the U.S. South Korea's envoy responds, those are groundless. Choi Min-jung reports.
North Korea's United Nations envoy has warned that the Korean peninsula is on the brink of a nuclear war, blaming both South Korea and the U.S. for attributing to what it is calling the current dangerous situation. Speaking on the last day of the UN General Assembly in New York on Tuesday, North Korea's ambassador to the UN, Kim Sung, underlined the dire situation on the Korean peninsula.
The year 2023 has been an extremely dangerous year, so much so that the military security situation in and around the Korean peninsula was driven closer to the brink of a nuclear war.
Kim Sung slammed the U.S. for its intentions to provoke a nuclear war by frequently dispatching strategic nuclear submarines and bombers in and around the Korean peninsula for the first time in decades. He also touched upon the trilateral military cooperation between Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo, claiming the alliance introduces a new Cold War structure to Northeast Asia. During the speech, it was also implied that the regime would not give up its development of nuclear weapons. He said that Pyongyang is required to further accelerate the buildup of its defense capabilities, given, quote, reckless military moves and provocations of the hostile forces. In response, South Korea's deputy permanent representative to the UN, Kim Sang-jin, slammed the North's ambassador for making groundless, illogical, and absurd allegations. He added that the claims that South Korea and the U.S. are provoking the tension on the Korean peninsula are untrue and absolutely incorrect. In the meantime, South Korea's ambassador to the U.S. said Tuesday that Seoul and Washington will not sit idly by with regard to strengthening ties between Pyongyang and Moscow. Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin's recent summit has sparked concerns that the two will sign an arms deal, which would allow Russia to secure military supplies for its war in Ukraine, while the North acquires the technology to address failures in its satellite launch attempts. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol on Tuesday named a former Army General In Sung-hwan as his new second Deputy National Security Advisor. In, a graduate of Korea Military Academy, served in various key posts in the Army, including a number of them within the ROK U.S. Combined Forces. Shifting gears, the number of babies born in South Korea falls below the 20,000 mark for the first time for any month of July, recording another fresh low. The population drop continues, with the number of deaths reaching an all-time high for the month of July. Lee Soo-jin has more.
South Korea's population issues are posing a real challenge as birth rates continue to decline. Data from Statistics Korea on Wednesday shows that the number of births in July came to 19,102, down 6.7% from the previous year. That's the lowest figure on record for the month of July. By region, Chungcheongbuk-do province was the only area that did not see the number of births decline compared to a year earlier. According to an official from the agency, this reflects a continuing trend of married couples choosing to have fewer or no children due to growing associated costs, including education. Meanwhile, the number of deaths in July rose 8.3% on year to 28,239, also a record for any month of July. This brought the decline in natural population, calculated by subtracting the number of deaths from the number of births, to around 9,000. South Korea has seen a drop in its natural population for 45 consecutive months. The number of registered marriages in July came to more than 14,000, dropping 5.3% from the previous year. Recent marriage figures have been unsteady, with the number falling in April and then rising in May and June before falling once again in July. The agency said that further observation is needed to see whether this is a consequence of pent-up demand caused by COVID-19 restrictions. There was also a dip in the number of divorces in July, falling 0.5% on year to 7,500. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
There has been a slight rebound in business sentiment with an active service sector. According to the Bank of Korea on Wednesday, the business survey index in September rose to 73 points, up 2 points on month. Bank officials are linking the improvement to a surge in Chinese travelers into the country and greater spending in light of the various autumn events. Meanwhile, the business sentiment within the manufacturing industry retreated in response to stunted recovery in the semiconductor market. Today is the fourth day of the Hangzhou Asian Games, and both good and bad news came as taekwondo shined yet again for the fourth day in a row, while the judo team, a traditional strength for Korea, will be leaving the games disappointed. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
On the fourth day of the Hangzhou Asian Games, South Korea added a gold in taekwondo, with Park Woo-hyuk winning in men's under 80 kilogram weight class. This means South Korea has won at least one gold every day since the games began on Sunday, with 5 won in the sport so far. This gold shortly follows another gold from men's team foil fencing competition. The team of Hejun, Ha-taegyu, Lee Kwang-hyun, and Im Cheol-woo beat host China 45-38 to retain South Korea's championship after winning the gold in 2018 as well. The medal is South Korea's 4th gold from fencing. In shooting, South Korea added another bronze in the women's 50-meter rifle 3 positions as well as the 25-meter pistol contest. The rifle team of Lee Eun-seo, Bae Sang-hee, and Shim Eun-ji earned a total of 1,756 points to finish 3rd behind India and China. This makes shooting Korea's best sport in terms of medal count so far at the Asian Games. Another anticipated success in esports, South Korea's League of Legends team beat Saudi Arabia 2-0 in Wednesday's quarterfinal. This puts Korea in the gold medal qualifying round against China, another huge favorite. This team is led by 27-year-old Lee Sang-hyuk, known as Faker, and is already known as a legend in the game. Also in the squad of 6 are Choi Woo-jae, Seo Jin-hyuk, Park Jae-hyuk, Yoo Min-seok, and Chung Ji-hoon. In a more unfortunate side of things, South Korea's judo team wrapped up the tournament with the least number of gold medals ever. On Thursday, Team Korea's mixed team lost at the bronze qualifier to Mongolia, which means this Asian Games ended with 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 6 bronze. The lowest number of gold Team Korea has won at an Asian Games event was 2 in Beijing's 1990 Games. South Korea is the 2nd all-time winningest country for gold in the sport, behind Japan. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And this just in, Hwang Sun-woo has won his anticipated gold in men's 200-meter freestyle with a time of 1 minute 44.40 seconds. Patriot Lee Ho-jun came in for bronze at 1 minute 45.56. This is Hwang's 2nd gold in this Asian Games after winning men's medley relay gold on Tuesday. Now let's take a look at the medal rankings. After hours of review, the Seoul Central District Court has rejected the arrest warrant requested for the main opposition Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung over corruption charges, citing a lack of critical evidence. There has been mixed reaction from the prosecution and rival political parties. Our political correspondent Kim Jung-sil reports.
At around 4 a.m. on Wednesday, Democratic Party of Korea leader Lee Jae-myung walked out from Seoul Detention Center after receiving the judge's decision.
I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the court for clearly proving it is the last bastion of human rights.
In an unusually long statement, Judge Yoo Chang-un said although there seems to be enough evidence of Lee asking for false testimony, there isn't enough evidence for other major allegations, including the Baekhyun-dong development project, where Lee was accused of breach of trust, costing Seongnam City 20 billion Korean won, or about $15 million. Regarding accusations of being involved in Sangbang-woo Group's alleged illegal money wiring to North Korea, the judge said, quote, "There's more room for disputes." The judge added that given the DP leader's social status, it's hard to conclude that he will destroy evidence. The prosecutor general made a rare statement on the judge's decision.
I think the court focused more on protecting the right to defense as political party leader while acknowledging criminal proof.
He added that the prosecution will conduct further investigation based on law and principles. The Democratic Party released a statement welcoming the court's decision and called prosecution against its leader a, quote, political retaliation by the Yoon government. The ruling People Power Party expressed disappointment over the decision, saying the court merely ensured the right of defense for Lee and that its decision does not give immunity from the allegations. The DP leader will most likely face indictment without detainment and go to trial, with the possibility remaining the prosecution seeking another arrest warrant. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
The UN has presented yet another grim assessment of the situation in Myanmar, calling it a seemingly endless spiral of military violence. In its latest report released on Tuesday, the UN's Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights said it had found a sharp rise into severe human rights violations within the country since the military ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's government in 2021. According to the report, there were 22 instances of mass killings involving 10 or more victims due to airstrikes and ground force attacks between April 2022 and the end of July this year. The Human Rights Office called for more comprehensive and concrete international sanctions to effectively stop the military's continuing violence against civilians. Game developer Riot Games says K-pop group New Jeans will be performing the 2023 League of Legends World Championship anthem, giving the rising stars another first in the K-pop industry. The new song Gods will be released on October 4th, while the tournament will kick off on October 10th. Riot Games has become known for its musical collaborations with major artists, and New Jeans joins the likes of Lil Nas X and Imagine Dragons' previous League of Legends anthem performers. This year's championship is being held in South Korea, with the finals taking place at the Chuseok Sky Dome in Seoul. A new technology has been developed in South Korea that dramatically shortens the aging period of beef for additional tenderness and flavor. Using radio waves, it reduces the meat aging period by 1/10, and this technology also resolves the issue of the hardened surface layer of meat going to waste. Yoon has the details.
This unit that looks like a regular commercial refrigerator is all wired up. It's been installed to trial the latest radio wave meat aging technology. The facility itself is a low-temperature warehouse in a meat processing and distributing company. Normally, in the process of aging meat, 3 factors are critical: enzymes, temperature, and time. However, the latest technology developed by the Rural Development Administration that uses radio waves has changed the scene. Through rods, radio waves quickly bring the temperature of the meat to the 20 to 40 degrees Celsius range, where the enzyme reaction is most active. Meanwhile, the air inside the refrigerator reaches sub-zero temperatures, which suppresses the growth of microorganisms and allows the surface of the meat to dry quickly. This technology has significantly reduced the duration of the aging process, which normally takes between 2 to 4 weeks, to a mere 48 hours.
It normally takes 30 to 40, even up to 60 days in order to get this unique cheesy flavor. But using radio waves, it's possible in 1 day. This changes economic feasibility.
Radio wave aged meat turned out to be 25% more tender than raw meat. And through the process, the amount of free amino acids, which gives the meat the sweet and rich flavor, increased 1.5 times. On the business front, yield losses decreased by 15 to 20% more than for regular dry aged meat. And there was no wasting of the meat's surface layer that hardens in the dry aging process.
Because the meat is aged in a very short period, it can maintain high yields and quickly treat raw meat for commercialization. So I think it's a better option for distributors.
The Rural Development Administration hopes to revitalize the aged meat industry, and further, in partnership with a home appliance company, plans to introduce this new radio wave meat aging technology for commercial use in households. Yoon, Arirang News.
The long Chuseok holiday begins tomorrow, and we are expecting fairly moderate conditions. But central regions and the surrounding areas will have showers until tomorrow dawn. Eastern Gangwon-do province will see 5 to 20 millimeters. The capital region and other inland areas will see less than 5. Dense layers of fog will be seen for most of central regions this holiday. That includes here in Seoul. Thick fog may cause dangerous driving conditions, so please be extra careful out on the roads. On the actual day of Chuseok holiday on Friday, a full moon will make an appearance. Despite the overcast skies, it will still be possible to see the moon through the clouds. Tomorrow, Seoul and Gwangju will be starting off at 19 degrees Celsius. Highs in Seoul get up to 26 degrees. Daejeon and Gwangju 27. Gyeongju and Busan will be topping out at 28 degrees. Although most regions will be under clear skies, Gangwon-do province will see brief showers on Sunday. Next week, overall temperatures will get a touch breezier along with wide temperature gaps. Have a great Chuseok holiday, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all for this Wednesday night newscast. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news. Good night.